risk is not just about avoiding losses. It's actually managing the uncertainty. If risk management is always managing uncertainty, all right, what is the management of that? In other words, how do I then mitigate my risk, and how do I bring about some level of certainty to the outcome? All right, you would know, all right, that generally we don't like volatility. Any investor doesn't like volatility. All right, an investor wants to know that that there's a predictive stream of income, or there's a predictive outcome that is within a range that mitigates his risk. All right, and this is high or low. All right, because you don't want to invest in something, all right, and then not price it appropriately, all right, and then get an outcome that is 10 times higher than what you expected. Of course, you're going to be smiling and that you're going to be great, but the fact that something is as volatile as getting 10 times higher return than what you expected, the same swing is also possible. That as much as what you have a high volatility in a positive return, the opposite is also true, that there's a high volatility and a high possibility of having a 10 times negative return. All right, so what you want to do as an investor is actually squeeze the margin, all right, of the volatility, and that really is risk management. Essentially, a derivative is a financial instrument. That's really what it is. And what this financial instrument helps with is to hedge, all right, or mitigate risks. What's an option? What do you think is an option? And again, remember, we're just trying to take risks here. You might not know, but we're just taking a risk to establish what it might be. Really, what an option is an option. In other words, if you think about the English word an option, it's something that I have a right to do. All right, if I have options, I can do this or I can do that. That's really what an option is. All right, technically, what an option is, it gives the holder a right to something, right? A right to buy something or a right to sell something. So if you think about this, all right, an option, if you've got an option for something, all right, you of course want to choose the better outcome, isn't it? You don't want to choose an outcome that will be detrimental to you. All right, so essentially what an option gives you a right, right, to buy or sell something. But now this option in itself becomes a contract between two people. In other words, I have the right to sell to somebody, all right? I'm the right to sell to Nation, or I've got the right to buy from Nation, all right? Now, when that contract exists and I have that right, all right? Think about this. A right is an asset, right? Excuse the pun, all right? A right is an asset. In other words, and the reason why it is an asset is because the outcome of exercising that right is determined by me. And when I determine what that outcome is, all right, and I can decide to take the outcome or not, all right, that in itself places me in a position where I can mitigate my outcome. All right, so if it's a good outcome, of course I'm going to take it. If it's a outcome that is not so great, I'm not going to take it. All right, so that's really what an option is, and it's a contract that gives the holder the right, not an obligation, the right to buy or sell an asset. All right, now here's the kicker. You have the right to buy or sell that asset at a predetermined price. Remember, we spoke about risk and uncertainty. All right, so in other words, you now know today, when you buy that option or you have that option, you know today what that price is going to be in 6 months' time, what that price is going to be in 2 years' time or in 12 months' time. In other words, you have mitigated the uncertainty by the option. Can I allow that to sink in for a moment?